What has happened to the Giants' reputation?
Series of bad decisions. Look, reputations are built upon a series of decisions. You are the sum of your choices in many ways. And usually, if people of good character, smart people with good character, will tend to make good decisions. That's been the case with organizations like the Giants and the Steelers, those good old school family-owned Northeastern football franchises. And basketball, you see it with the Spurs, consistently good decisions because smart people with good character are making them. That doesn't mean they're infallible. The smartest people with the best character make bad decisions at times. And if you make a series of them, it will alter your reputation. The Baltimore Orioles, there was a time for like a quarter century, they were the model franchise in baseball. Until they weren't. They made a series of bad decisions, and then they were a losing franchise for a while, and then suddenly they weren't anymore. This happened at the New York Yankees for a while. The Yankees, the #1 winning brand in the history of American team sports by far, have had fallow periods where because of bad choices, they haven't been the same. This happens to all kinds of franchises across sports. Now, I wouldn't say it's gotten that bad with the Giants, but when you think about the way the Josh Brown situation was handled, when you think about the way Jerry Reese has drafted in recent years, when you think about the way this decision was handled, the way McAdoo has been the last several, especially this year.
Calling people out in the media, players.
Precisely. These are a series of bad decisions that will affect the Giants' reputation, even though they're a good organization, headed by ownership that has good character and generally makes smart decisions. They've made mistakes recently, period.
The Giants are by no means a horrendous or poorly run organization. They handled this situation with Eli Manning horrendously. I mean, it's beyond poor how they handled this situation. But they're not a horrendous organization. But I tell you what they are, Max. They're just like everybody else. This idea of the Giant way, that they're more principled than everybody else, no, they're not. And you can't keep holding your nose above everybody else, looking down at the way the Cowboys or the Eagles or the Raiders do business when you treat your franchise quarterback of over 14 years, 210 straight games, as any other quarterback that you're going to bench to evaluate Geno Smith, to evaluate Davis Webb. Now, this was awful. But, look, I'm a rational man. I'm not going to say the Giants are awful, but I think you have to admit they are, in the end, just like every other NFL franchise. They are self-interested. They are looking out for number one. They make irrational decisions. Sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they get it wrong. The New York Giants way is the same as the Dallas Cowboys way, the Jacksonville Jaguars way, and everybody else's way.
Disagree, Stephen A. Go ahead, and then I'll respond to that.
Well, first of all, the Dallas Cowboys don't deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as the New York Giants based on their level of production or lack thereof over the last 22 years. Don't come on this set of lying to the American public because you wear them pom-poms that are blue and white for the wrong team. You don't get to do that right now.
You only get to wave this pom-pom card at me when you relegate the history to 22 years of recency.
Well, time out.
22 years.
You really
we're
said
evaluating
that?
franchises here.
You just said that. You just said that with a straight face.
That's right.
Oh, you only get to do it. You say 22 games. You said 22 years.
That's right.
22. What were you doing 22 years ago, Will? Just throw out anything.
You were in college.
Anything. What were you doing 22 years ago, Will? Since you want to act like that's not such a long time ago, okay? What were you doing 22 years ago, Will Kane? Don't even bother answering because you know better. It was nonsense what you said.
Don't evaluate Will as 20s or 30s.
Exactly.
Only as a teenager.
Let me finish my point.
Please.
I'm just going to finish my point. That's all I got to say because I really don't have much to say about this subject because here's what it really comes down to. It's not that the Giants are like everybody else. The problem is they've become like everybody else. Because the Giants left this, they had this facade, they had this imagery, Will, where they gave you a reason to believe that if nothing else, they were going to be relatively consistent. When you see them say wholesale changes, but then Tom Coughlin walks out, he's the one that's left holding the bag, and he's the one that's booted out of the door. Tom Coughlin, I think we all can acknowledge is a man of principle. Tom Coughlin is a guy that's a two-time Super Bowl champion. He missed the playoffs too many years as far as I'm concerned, and I understood why the need for change was necessary. What I had a problem with was the fact that he was isolated. That's why he walked off that podium and walked by the owner when a man stood up to shake his hand, because he was offended that he was the fall guy. That's not what the Giants have done throughout its history. That's not the way they operate. They also don't operate where you got a coach scared to discipline Odell Beckham Jr. You're going to call out Eli Manning for every little mistake, but you're going to let Odell Beckham Jr. get a pass. They don't do things like that. The Giants have been the Giants. They've made sure that you understood that the brand that is the New York Giants is what you're answerable to. That's not the impression that they gave over the last couple of years or so, which is, some would say, has contributed to their demise.
That's why.
That's really all I have to say about that.